Hello, friends, and welcome to Masters Eve. With an introduction like that, you know it's time for a tradition unlike any other, and we are proud of Sports Shift Media to bring you our first ever Masters preview. I'm here with JT. JT, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Well, this tournament really feels, it's the kickoff of summer, and it's always a great time, great views. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. We are going to have so much to get to. This is going to be a completely interactive experience for everybody. There is a link in the description, in the comments, where you can click and join this. We want to have anybody and everybody that wants to hop on and talk Masters, talk golf with us. We do have a lot to get to, though, so we're going to go ahead and get the sponsorship stuff out of the way. So first and foremost, thank you to the Juicebox Pod. The Juicebox Pod is the one who has put Sports Shift Media kind of on the map, if you will. They've been doing their thing in West Virginia for a while, and they took us on and allowed us to use their platform. So thank you to the Juicebox Pod. You can find them on Instagram at the Juicebox Pod. You can find them on Spotify at the Juicebox Pod, and that's where you'll find a lot of Sports Shift Media's things, such as Press Break, our Masters preview. Shout out to Big Ugly Brewing, the sponsor of Sports with BJ. Big Bold Beer, that's what they do, and they have taken that same passion and put it into us and given us a lot of opportunities. So thank you to them. Thank you to Pale Horse Coffee. Pale Horse Coffee has been sponsoring Brood Bets for a while, and I know we'll do some master stuff with them on Saturday. So thank you to them as well. Make sure to catch us Saturday for Brood Bets. And last but not least, James Fanerpool of Vanderpool Realty. He has been in the Virginia Beach and the Hampton Roads area his whole life. He studies, lives, breathes the real estate market. So if you are in this crazy market trying to buy or sell, he specializes in doing just that. He knows the temperature of the Hampton Roads market unlike anybody else. So make sure to check out James Vanderpool of Vanderpool Realty. But we're not here for all of that. And I'm sure all our sponsors would agree that we're not here for all of that. We are here to talk about a tradition unlike any other. We are on the eve of it. So let's get to our Masters preview. That's right. The Masters is back, and we are so excited to get into this. JT, thank you so much for putting that video together. If that didn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what kind of golf fan you are, because everything surrounding the Masters is sacred, it's hollow, and it gives me goosebumps every single year. So let's kick this off in style. We saw a lot of great memories and moments in Masters history in that preview towards the end. JT, talk to me a little bit about what your favorite Masters memory is.
Really, it's just I'm a big Tiger guy. That's really what got me into golf, and that's really what's kept me around. It's awful that we don't get him in this year's tournament, but that one 2 years ago, 2 years ago,
2019.
That was very special to me and the most memorable. I watched every second of that Masters, and just the whole ambiance of the course and just the meaning behind this tournament, unlike any other. It's just all very special.
It is, and it's, the azaleas are in bloom, the red buds are in bloom, everything is green and colorful. It's the kickoff to spring. It's everything we want it to be, and I'm with you. Tiger has given us some great memories, and I think that my favorite would have to be, oh man, I'm going to go with 2005. I'm going to go with 2005, and I'm going to go with his chip in when he was on 16 and he hit it a little long on Rosebud, the par 3, and he chipped in from an impossible standpoint. Everything about that, the suspense of what he was going to do with that shot, culminated with the suspense of the ball sitting on the lip for just long enough to make us go, oh. And I mean, to hear people that were there tell that story, you felt the air come out of Augusta, Georgia that day. And just for a split second, no one had any breath. And then boom, it drops and the jar lid just erupts off of everything around it. And boom, Tiger Woods is fist pumping Stevie Williams. And it's just everything is great and going on from there. Definitely one of my favorite memories. But the Augusta National Golf Club puts on a great tournament every single year, and it's a tradition unlike any other because there are so many traditions. From the par 3 contest that would typically be here today, we don't get to see. They're hoping to have that back in 2022, but it's just impossible with that course, the par 3, the way it's set up to keep people spaced out and socially distanced. So they nexted it on this year, but they'll come back with it next year. One of my favorite traditions of the Masters tournament is one that we can relate to if we were to dream and ever win. And that would be the Champions Dinner, hosted every Tuesday night of Masters Week. The menu is created and hosted by the guest. My wife asked me a great question. Does the past champion have to pay? No, he does not. He does not have to foot the bill for the dinner. The golf club at Augusta National is happy to do that. But this year's reigning Masters winner would be Dustin Johnson. And the one thing that follows Dustin Johnson around is the aura or lack thereof that he has on the golf course. The dude is the most even keel, emotionless player I've ever seen until he won last year. Mm-hmm. And when he broke down and cried on the 18th hole on the green, when he knew he was getting the green jacket, man, that was something special. But for someone who has had an aura about him of just mundane humdrum, nothing would be, I wouldn't expect anything less of a menu than what he gave us. The JT's got that. If you want to throw that up there, we can look at it. So the appetizers, let's dive deep into Dustin Johnson's stomach here. We went with pigs in a blanket and lobster and corn fritters, which if you don't know what that is, that's right there to the left of the menu there. It's more of a deep fried lobster mixed with some corn and topped with what looks like a remoulade or a demi-glace, and they've garnished it quite nicely. So, I mean, lobster and corn fritters, a little extra. Pigs in a blanket, okay.
They went fancy with the pigs in a blanket. It's not your mom and dad's pigs in a blanket, but yeah, it's still something you wouldn't expect to see here.
Absolutely. When you can have anything and you've got a world-class kitchen at your disposal, pigs in a blanket, I would love to have been there when the head chef got that order. So the first course, we're just going to go with a standard house salad, a little Caesar salad. Okay. For the sides, we went family style. I don't know that I've ever seen that at a Masters Champions dinner, but family style. So that means each table is going to have a bowl of mashed potatoes and a bowl of spring vegetables, and y'all just dig in and put whatever you want on your plate.
I don't hate that. I mean, it is very Dustin Johnson, but that's just a classic. What you expect to see when you walk into a family any holiday.
Absolutely. I mean, it's no different than a Saturday barbecue. Yep. It's there. His main course was an option. Of course, there's going to be a meat and a fish. He went with filet mignon, and he went with miso marinated sea bass. That might be the most exotic thing on the menu is the miso marinated sea bass. And then he wraps it up nice and tight with a mundane little bow. We've got apple pie, and we've got peach cobbler with vanilla ice cream. So in compared to some of menus past, now I will say, as someone who's big into wine, his wine pairings were fantastic. He had a Chablis from the Bordeaux Valley, and he had the other one's blanking me, but the vintage in the year he picked was phenomenal. It comes in, the reds that he chose came in at about $175 a bottle. So if we know one thing about Dustin, the boy will drink. Okay, so I'm not surprised there. Paulina probably helped him a little bit.
He may have not have missed a Masters because of it.
We won't go there because he is the reigning champion. We'll save that for next year. But yes, there are some stories that could be told about Dustin Johnson missing the Masters for some late night festivities that he couldn't wrap up. But yeah, there it is. There's his champions dinner. And that's always, to me, the kickoff. Masters week is here Sunday night. Some people are excited. It's not until I see that menu where I'm like, all right, we're here. And like we said, typically we'd be sitting here talking about the par 3 contest and how no one who's ever won the par 3 contest has ever won the Masters. And we were having all kinds of conversations about the amount of hole-in-ones we saw, seeing Jack Nicklaus play, all that fun stuff. But we're not doing that. But we did have the Champions Dinner. Glad they couldn't take that away. So the question begs to be asked. If you were a reigning Masters champion, what would your Champions Dinner consist of? JT, do you want to go or you want me to start?
I'll start it off.
Okay.
So
let's go appetizer.
So appetizer, I'm probably going. I mean, I'm a very simple person, so mine's probably going to be a lot like his. I mean, appetizers to me are always some sort of fried food. I would probably go with some cheese sticks and some wings. In terms of fancy, I am definitely not that. So I would go with a little bit of fried food and then maybe a salad to get your vegetables in. But my number one meal to go to is barbecue. So I'm pulling out all the stops there. Some pulled pork, some ribs, maybe some brisket. And then for you fish lovers, my only fish that I'm really a fan of is crab cakes. So I would probably go with some crab cakes. And to finish it off, dessert-wise, there's a dessert that I'm going to pick your brain here and see if you've ever heard of it. Because outside of my little county in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, no one ever seems to know about it. It's burnt sugar cake.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. I've heard it mentioned because, like we've discussed before, my in-laws are in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I have heard of burnt sugar cake, but I have never seen or partaken in burnt sugar cake.
It's very difficult to make. I've tried to recreate it. I live an hour and a half away from my hometown, and every year for my birthday, I have to travel back and get one from the bakery there just to make sure that it is made correctly. But I would probably have to get that so that everyone can experience it once in their life.
Okay. That's a pretty solid menu. I like that. A little chicken wing in there. Definitely a lot of barbecue going on.
Yeah.
All right. And then burnt sugar cake.
Yeah, it's an odd,
right?
Yep, it's an odd combination there, but that I'm an odd person, so I'll roll with it.
So the question has to be asked: Does a Masters champion dinner? Do you think they ever pick food that might upset people's stomach? Maybe if we can knock some of the field out here.
I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Carbo load everybody.
Yep, see if anybody. I mean, get that field from 90 down to maybe 80. Maybe you pick a couple of people off.
That's it. I love it. All right, so for me, I would go for my appetizers. I would go spring rolls and California rolls. A little bit of fried spring roll action, a little bit of sushi lover action with the California rolls. I'm pretty sure that's the most widely accepted roll for people who don't like sushi. They'll eat a California roll, and it's good. So we'll go with that. For the appetizers, I would do a similar. I'm not going to knock DJ. You want a little house salad, little Caesar salad, that's fine. But I'm also going to offer some sheet crab soup. Love sheet crab soup. I think it's a great start to any meal. Got to be careful with how much you consume because it can fill you up pretty quick. But then I get a little bougie, and I did this last year, and I'm not going to change it up because my brother joked on me, but he joked on me. If I have the opportunity to have Augusta National put on a dinner in my honor, I'm going all out. So the best meal I've ever had actually came from a restaurant. Shout out to Vintage Tavern out here in Carrollton where we're at. And I had seared elk chop for my wife and I's second wedding anniversary. And it was phenomenal. So that would be my go-to. It would be seared elk chop. I would also pair it with probably some sort of chicken dish for people who might not want to get that exotic with their meat. And then I would just go with a very simple cedar flake salmon for a fish option. No big deal there. And then for dessert, I'm either going to go with creme brulee or a souffle. Those, I mean, if I've got the opportunity and I've got the people in this kitchen to make it right, I'm doing it. So I'm not as simple, but I'm kind of simple. I did. Those are my tops. But DJ, he definitely went simple. I'm sure that no one left hungry from that. So now it's time to talk a little bit about the tournament itself. Okay, we know who the favorites are, and just for everyone out there, the two favorites are tied at the top. You've got Bryson DeChambeau and you've got Dustin Johnson. DJ's obviously our reigning champion. He's a 2020 Masters champion, and he's got to be up there. The Masters reigning champion's always up there. Bryson, I feel, is like more of a gimmick. I feel like people want to bet on big sporting events, and Vegas is trying to get sucker bets. But if you watched 2020's Masters tournament, his approach did not work. You cannot overpower Augusta National, and I don't know what people think has changed in his approach. If anything, he's gotten longer. He's not working on his finesse. He's not working on anything that Augusta National seems to call for. I mean, the dude went out there and pounded 150 drives while VJ Singh watched yesterday on the range. Like, he just one after another. And it was like the scene from 10 Cup. Have you seen 10 Cup?
Yes, it's been a while, but yeah.
Where he's trying to clear the water and he keeps going, ball, ball. He was doing that he wasn't even watching where the ball landed. He was just pushing ball. And before the ball even teed up, he had another one. He did that 150 times. So I think that's just a setup bet for Vegas. People are going to see the name. They're going to know the distance. They're going to know the story that follows Bryson, and people are going to bet on him. But I, in no way, shape, or form, think Bryson is a favorite in this tournament. What say you?
I mean, I'm not a fan of Bryson, so I would never bet on him anyway. But I know there are plenty of people out there that they want to see the ball be hit hard. They want to see the big drive. But this course is all about the short irons. You have to be able to pinpoint the ball on the green, which means you have to be in the fairway. And was it last year's tournament, or was it the year before, where he just absolutely blew up on the one hole and tried to hit the same shot 3 times and went out of bounds all 3 times?
That was last year.
Yeah, I mean, this course, if you're not
ended up with a 13 on that hole.
Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious to watch. He's always going to be in the main picture of golf now, which is the way he plays. But I don't think there's any chance. I think he's more likely to miss the cut than he is to be in contention on Sunday.
I agree with that statement. And again, it's just because of the style he plays. And we saw it, right? We hadn't seen him in a Masters with this new strength and this new distance. And then we thought we were going to see it last year, and it got postponed. So we didn't. We had to wait all the way till November to see if Bryson DeChambeau could overpower the strength of Augusta National. And Augusta National said, first of all, take this L. And second of all, no one's going to overpower us.
Do you think that? I mean, I know DJ is up there also. He's the reigning champ. Do you think the time of year that he won, it being in November and not these type of conditions, do you think he still should be the number one going into the weekend?
I do, because he's still number one in the world.
Yeah,
that title hasn't been taken from him, and he is the reigning Masters champion. I will say, the course that he played in November is not the same course he will play this week. They overseeded a lot with Bermuda and Rye, which can slow the course down. You could see that was struggling, making some of the players struggle. You're used to seeing Augusta so fast. People have compared it to putting on glass, or take a ball and put it on your hardwood floor and try and putt it 5 feet exactly. That's what they're used to. So I think that particular layout was set up for someone who is better when he can be aggressive with his putter.
Yeah.
And so no, I don't have an issue with him being an odds-on favorite. But to be honest with you, I'd be surprised to see DJ in the top 5 this week, only because I've heard rumors that from people that have played this course many times and people that have played this course recent, that this is the fastest Augusta has ever played. That's the rumor going around, and lots of people have been backing that up. And if that's the case, DJ struggles when conditions are very, very fast, especially around the greens. So I don't have a problem with him being a favorite, but he's not a favorite of mine, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we'll move on a little bit, and we talked a little bit about some of the contenders. So before we jump into all the stats and all the things that go into our picks, we are going to give you some betting advice. We are going to give you a little bit of prop bets that I like. We're going to pick some winners, but before we do that, let's look at the conditions from a weather standpoint that the players are going to be up with, and it's not ideal to start. I'm actually kind of excited because both morning and afternoon groups are seeing this forecast, and we're looking at it here. We're going to have the low 80s all week long. That's great. We're going to have mild mornings, which is great. And winds, okay, but you got to get that ball up high on most of those Georgia pines. So we'll see what the wind does. But then you see it there Friday and Saturday. 55% chance of rain on Friday. 80% chance of rain on Saturday. Thursday and Sunday look good. So that means that coming out of the gates, these players know they're going to have to put up a good number because moving day looks sloppy, and it is very hard to move on Augusta. And here's why. These players there's so much undulation. I don't know if that's too big of a word. There's too much. There's a lot of hills. Okay. There's a lot of elevation changes that you can't really see on TV, but we always think of, let's take number 10. Number 10 there, Camellia. You got to hit that big sweeping draw down the left-hand side. And then you get to Azalea, number 13, same kind of setup. But if you hit it far enough down, you can hit that power slope and get an extra 65, 70 yards of roll. If this course is wet, you're not getting that. And this course is very, very long. The players need those types of power alleys and slope runs and stuff like that to get to where they can go for two and stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's going to completely handicap them, but it will handicap a lot of the field. There's only a certain echelon of players that hit the ball, but so far the rest are, right there in a clump together with their averages on distance. So it's going to be interesting to me to see a tournament where everyone knows, look, Friday, I've got to go. And if I've got a morning tee time Thursday, I've got to go. And if I have a morning tee time Friday, I've really got to go, especially if I had a good round on Thursday to build up, because scoring on Saturday, if it's going to stay 15-mile-an-hour winds and 80% rain all day, and we're talking thunderstorms, there might be delay in play. So now you're talking rhythm. We might be looking at a Monday finish, which anything for golf, it's repetition. So Monday finishes can mess with people having to take a break in between. You could be 3-4 under through 7 holes, have to take a break for a lightning delay, come back and go 6 over. It's all about repetition and comfortability. So that's something I'm looking forward to with these conditions and seeing how they get out the gates. JT, what do you see there? Anything concerning that you want to talk about?
I mean, Saturday is always, it's known as moving day. So that is concerning to see that there when really the field tightens a little bit after the cut. And then you're going to try to make your move. And like you said, there's going to be some starting, stopping. And then I'm excited for Sunday being the nice day, finish strong there and really be able to see who comes out on top in not that bad of conditions. But you still got 13-mile-an-hour winds. I think that hopefully that rain holds up a little bit, so we don't have to finish on Monday. I would like to see a Sunday finish, but I think it's going to be tough for these guys.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. We'll just have to see. I mean, we're sitting here talking about this like it's our local muni. The conditions, the maintenance crew, the irrigation, the drainage, everything at Augusta is pristine. But if it pours, it pours. And we've seen in years past where the conditions of the course when they're wet have really hindered scoring. And if Saturday is as wet, and if we also get rain on Friday, you could be looking at a situation where 4, 5, 6 under might win this tournament.
And I kind of hope so, because what was DJ at last year? I can't. I don't have it off the top of my head.
17 over or 17 under?
Yeah, I don't want to see that. I would prefer to see this be a battle of who can hold on and be around 5, 6 under.
Yeah, and Dustin, as the reigning champion last year, he was 20 under. We were close, but 20 under. He shot a 268 aggregate, which some records were tied and broken there as well. But we'll see what happens there. We'll see how they handle the conditions as they come. But let's get into a little bit about the field. One thing that I always like to talk about when it comes to Masters weekend is who would you like to see? These are people that we don't necessarily think they have a shot, and maybe that's been their story. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's been their history. They can't get the Masters for so long. That was Phil, right? He could do everything else, but he couldn't win the Masters. And then he went and rattled off 2 and 4 years, I think, 2006 and 2010. He won. So let's talk about some players that maybe haven't won a Masters and maybe aren't necessarily in the running, but we would really love to see them put on a green jacket on Sunday. JT, I'll start with you.
My number one, and we talked about this a little bit pre-show, Xander Schauffele. I think as when I was younger, I think that, I mean, he's not that old, so he hasn't been on the tour that long, but I think his name stood out to me, and I paid attention to him a little bit closer. And then I kind of just fell in love with betting with him because he always seems to be in the top 10. You can pretty much put that in the bank, at least in the majors, that he's going to be up there competing. He's got the game to play here, but he just hasn't been able to pull it out yet. He's got the short game, got the putting. So I like him. And then my second one is Tony Finau. I believe it was here when he broke his ankle.
Yeah, that
play,
was
right?
He had got a hole-in-one on the par 3 contest and was running down the hill and rolled his ankle really badly.
Yeah, so it wasn't broken, but it was or maybe it was broken. I can't recall.
Yeah, he rolled it. It was I think it ended up being a high ankle sprain. He still played the tournament, but he couldn't get behind the ball as much as he would like to have. So
but he's another guy that at least this year and end of last year he was. He was in a lot of top fives, a lot of top tens. So he's another guy that I'm a fan of that I would like to see win one.
Absolutely. For me, I would love to see Viktor Hovland win. He's slowly becoming one of my favorite golfers. I liked watching him in Oklahoma State, and I liked watching him in the U.S. Open when he made kind of his breakthrough. And then, of course, he declared and became pro. And I just like the way he goes about the course. I like the way that he isn't afraid to take on anything.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that bodes well, because another one of my favorite golfers that is unfortunately not in the field, but that I would like to see is Ricky Fowler. I've had the pleasure of meeting him twice now and having great conversation with him. When I was at the Golf Academy of America in Orlando, one of the perks of being in the top 5 of your class was that you were able to go to the Bay Hill Invitational. Now, not only were you able to go to the Bay Hill Invitational, you were allowed to be caddies for the Pro-Am. So being part of the caddies at the Pro-Am got you into the tournament dinner that's hosted by Arnold Palmer. So at that location, I was able to meet Arnold Palmer. I was able to meet Ricky Fowler and just have a good conversation with him. At that time, I was 21 years old. He was younger than me, I think. But he's a good one that I would like to see, but he hadn't played well enough to get the invite. But him, Viktor Hovland, and Webb Simpson. I would love to see Webb Simpson break through and win something of note. He's just a really good guy. I've played his home course in Carolina, and up in Northern Virginia, and he's just a really good guy that I would like to see slip on a green jacket. And those are ones that I think are little long shots this weekend. Ricky Fowler is a very, very long shot. If he was able to win from home, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen this year. So,
if in gaming news this week, they announced that the new PGA Tour game will have Augusta for the first time in a long time. So maybe he can put up a pretty good score on the Xbox.
Yeah, maybe he'll do something there for sure. But we'll have to see there. So let's get into the favorites. We're going to go through the top 16 here because there's a reason why I'm going to go through the top 16, but just bear with me here. So your top 16 in order 1 through 16 are Bryson, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jon Rahm, Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, Patrick Reed, Paul Casey, Tony Finau, Cameron Smith, Daniel Berger, and wrapping it up at 16th best favorites at 37-1, Victor Hovland. So he's there. It's possible. But of those lists right there in the top 16 odds, who jumps out at you?
Well, I mean, Rahm's been the big story this week. He just had a kid. And some people were saying that like it seems like every Masters champion has like a tiny baby that meets them at the 18th green after they win. So he's a story that jumps out. I like Morikawa. I have him on my list of guys that I'm going to be watching. But those are just a few that stood out as you were saying them.
Okay. Yeah, I like Colin Morikawa as well. Paul Casey jumped out at me. He's been playing really well as of late, and same with Patrick Cantley. I think that they could be some sleepers there. But of course, as you know, it's the top there. The odds are stacked for a reason. Outside of, we've probably already discussed Bryson and Dustin. Those are kind of obligatory odds-on favorites at this particular point. I think Bryson is a favorite in every tournament he plays because he's just driving the ball insanely far. But this is not a course for that. We saw that in November, so we've already discussed that.
I'm surprised JT hasn't won one yet. That kind of jumps out at me.
He's my number one to want to win. We were discussing people that didn't really have a shot that we would like to see. But if there was anyone I could put a green jacket on myself, it would be Justin Thomas, especially after the passing of his grandfather and how much that meant. He meant to him and all of that. What a great year it would be to see Justin Thomas slip on a green jacket. And time will tell. He's in it.
Yeah, and he last year he struggled with the putter. That was his big thing that really kept him from winning last year. I know that stood out to me when I was watching him last year. So it seems he won the Players. It seems like he's got that figured out a little bit. I mean, like we've said, Augusta is a different beast, so we'll see if he can keep it up. But yeah, that's I'm with you there. He's probably my number one.
Absolutely. So now let's kind of switch into the betting side of things. And, FanDuel has legalized gambling for a lot of states, and now there's other platforms coming. I'm going to say FanDuel was the pioneer because they were the first ones in my state, and I think they were the first ones in several states as well. But we got to pick some winners. There are a lot of fun prop bets that we'll get into, but the money is in picking to win. The outright winner of the 2021 Masters tournament. We already talked about the top 16 odds. So let's talk a little bit about the top 16 in the official World Golf Rankings coming in. And that also kind of goes hand in hand with the top 16 odds, and I'll explain that in a minute. But your top 16 in order 1 through 16 going in the official World Golf Rankings going into this week. Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Jon Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Bryson DeChambeau, Xander Schauffele, Patrick Reed, Tyrrell Hatton, Webb Simpson, Patrick Cantley, Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, Tony Finau, Victor Hovland, Daniel Berger, and coming in at number 16, Matthew Fitzpatrick. Now, you'll notice there are some names there that weren't in the top 16 odds, but they are the top 16 in the official World Golf Rankings. And JT, I want to throw this at you before we start talking about our favorites, because I did my best JT today. I did my best JT, and I dug and found a really cool stat that I think you're going to enjoy. I went all the way back to 2000 for this.
Okay.
21 Masters tournaments, that is. Okay. Not counting this year, obviously, but if we start with the 2000 Masters, we've had 21. So 16 of the last 21 Masters winners have entered the tournament top 16 in the official World Golf Rankings. 11 of those have been in the top 10. The only ones of note recently, 2018, Patrick Reed came in ranked number 24, and then Charles Schwartzel in 2011 was number 29. Fun thing about number 29, we said that there were 5 times that a golfer outside of number 16 of the official World Golf Rankings won. 2 times they've been the number 29th ranked golfer in the world. That was Charles Schwartzel and Trevor Immelman in 2008. The biggest favorite, or the biggest, I guess you could say, underdog to win was Angel Cabrera in 2009. He was number 69 in the world. And when Zach Johnson won in 2007, he was 56th in the world. Oh, wow. So going back 21 years, 16 of the last 21 Masters winners have entered the week top 16 in the World Golf Rankings. 11 of them have been in the top 10. So after hearing that, what do you like there as far as outside chances to win? Not too great.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in, but yeah, that pretty much if you're not coming in playing good golf, this course is going to eat you alive. That's really what I take away from that.
Yeah, so if we talk about that, 11 of the last 21 winners have been in the top 10. That cuts off at Patrick Cantley. So you've got Dustin, Justin, John Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Bryson, Xander, Reed, Hatton, Simpson, and Cantley are your top 10 right now in the latest rankings of the official World Golf. So history would say those are some pretty good bets, and you could get some good bets on there. Patrick Reed, defending champion, he's at 32-1. Terrell Hatton's at 47-1. Webb Simpson, we both mentioned liking him a little bit. He's at 39-1. So there's Colin Morikawa, number 20 or number 4 in the world. He's at 29-1. So there are some values there, especially if you're, we like to do little $10, $20 bets. We don't like to jive too big into anything. But yeah, so
I think that
10 there. Who do you like?
Patrick Reed is an interesting one because I know he doesn't really get respect from fans because he's not a very likable guy.
He's not.
There's plenty of stories out there about how he is not well liked on tour and then with fans. But he seems to always be in contention here at the Masters because for those that don't know, he went to Georgia University, got kicked out, and then transferred to Augusta State, I think is the name of the school. So, I mean, he's played all around this course. He's played this course a lot. I think that I didn't take him to win, but I think it's almost a guarantee that he's in the top 10. So I forget what the odds were on that, but that was my really number one bet of the weekend is him to finish in the top 10.
I like that. So before we get into our picks and before we start talking about where to place money, I want to give a couple more stats. So we know there's 2 things you got to do at Augusta to score well. You have to putt and you got to put the ball in play. All right. So I looked up, and we could talk about driving accuracy and everything and hitting fairways and all of that stuff. And that's great. And that's a good stat to know, driving accuracy, the percentage of time. For the record, Brendan Todd is leading the PGA Tour in driving accuracy at 72%, but he's not even in the top 25. I don't even think he's in the top 40 of odds. I've honestly only heard his name once. So I went a little further and did ball striking. Okay. Contact of perfect implications off the tee. Your number 1 PGA Tour player in ball striking off the tee this year is Jon Rahm, believe it or not.
All right.
And of the rest, the only other player that is in the top 10 in world golf rankings and in the top 16 of the odds would be Colin Morikawa for ball striking off the tee. Yeah. But then we start talking about putting. And we've got some more names in strokes gained putting this year. Leading the way, Patrick Reed. Coming in third is Louis Oosthuizen. That's because I've never heard of who's in second. And I'm sorry, you're probably having a great year. You're an amazing putter. But Justin Suh, I've never heard of you. So I don't. I'm sorry. So Louis Oosthuizen. There we see again, not only the driving accuracy leader, but number 4 in strokes gained putting, Brendan Todd. J.C. Poston is in there. Brooks Koepka's at 7. Xander Schauffele's at 9. Zach Johnson's at 10. So you got to putt well. You got to hit the ball well off the tee. And no one is in the top 10 in either, or in both, I should say. So another thing to consider there. I personally like Jordan Spieth's putter. I think when Jordan Spieth is putting well, he's the best putter on the face of the planet. I would put him up against Tiger Woods in that category. But yeah, not a lot to choose from. I guess if you're going to go ball striking, you got Jon Rahm and Morikawa in there. But what do you think about those 2 categories?
I find that interesting because a lot of my guys on my list to win, they pretty much follow those 2 things. It's putting and it's ball striking. I'm surprised that there's not more people. I'm surprised none of them are. There's nobody in both on that list. Fun little stat about Jordan Spieth. You brought him up. He won the Valero Open last week.
Mm-hmm.
So can you name the last person to have the Masters be back-to-back wins? So win the week before and win the Masters.
I know the answer to this, but I honestly think it was him in 2015.
So
was it not?
So I might be wrong. My stat might be wrong, but I had Phil in 2006.
Okay.
I had Rory as the last person to win the tournament before a major. He won the PGA Championship in 2014 and won the tournament right before the week before. But at least I had found that on a website. I was searching for. I knew that's the stat that I wanted, and it took me a while to find it. I'll have to fact check that.
So what we're saying is basically, and I could be wrong. That for some reason I just feel like Jordan Spieth, because of how magical that run was in 2014-15 for him. Maybe I just feel like that's something he did.
Yeah, he was in contention for every single tournament he put his name into.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And then his win at Chambers Bay. Well, Dustin Johnson's loss at Chambers Bay. We'll say that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
How brutal was that? I mean, the dude had 2 putts to force a playoff from 12 feet, and he 3 putts.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Oh.
That was so. What year was that?
That was 2016, I believe.
So that was the same year that the U.S. Open was at Oakmont, where I got this hat and I was working, and Dustin Johnson won that tournament. But I was just waiting for a moment like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean,
it was 2015, by the way, the same year he won the Masters.
Okay, so it must have been the next year then. Hold on a second. So 2016 was the U.S. Open. I knew it was on the hat. So yeah, that was the following year, and I was like, this is going to happen again. We were watching it, just waiting for him to break down, but instead he wins the major. It was an impressive victory for him.
It was. So basically, what we're saying though is Jordan Spieth, great win last week. Glad to have you back. Glad to see you getting back to where you were. But chances are you're not going to win this week because it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into some picks. All right. Let's get into some picks. We've thrown out some stats. We've talked about some odds. Again, the most fun stat that I have for you, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to be making some picks, 16 of the last 21 Master winners have entered the tournament in the top 16 of the official World Golf Rankings. 11 of them have been in the top 10. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind, and let's get into it. JT, take it away with your 5 to win, or however many you have to win. Some people like to throw in 15. I don't know. What do we got tonight?
So I've got 6, really 5 that I truly believe in, and 1 is kind of just a flyer because of how long the odds are. But here they are. A lot of the names that we've talked about, I believe 3 of them are inside the top 10. Or top 16 possibly. But JT, like we said, that's our number 1 because he hasn't won yet, but it seems like this is his time. It would be a good story to see him win this year. And then Jon Rahm also just had the kid, and he's hitting the ball well. Xander Schauffele and Colin Morikawa and Tony Finau, really. Those are 3 guys that I just enjoy watching. I think they have great golf games. They're perfect for this course in terms of their irons and their putting. And then my long shot is Tommy Fleetwood. That long hair flowing in the wind. I just would like to see him in contention to see if he can hold on to one. But he's at 60-1 odds. I don't really see it happening, but that was my upset pick of the week.
Okay. I like those lists. You're right with Jon Rahm. His iron play is unbelievable. And it's amazing that he can do it with such a short backswing. But, he's good. I really like Justin Thomas this week. There's just something about that emotional motivation that helps people do. So, I mean, you talk about Brett Favre, the night his dad died, goes out and throws 5 touchdowns. Michael Jordan with the flu. Just little outside influences that give you that extra spark. And JT, I think, is going to go out there and try and win this for Pops.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Colin Morikawa. I just don't know. I can see him being the first, maybe second round leader. I just don't know if he has it yet in his
Yeah.
young career to go wire to wire at the Masters. And I don't, wire to wire was the bad worst use of word, because that would mean he leads first round all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's ready to contend for 4 straight days at Augusta National, but
Yeah.
I hope he proves me wrong. The one person I really, really love of that entire list, though, is Xander Schauffele. You and I are both on him a lot. I think that his game, his short game creativity, his distance plus his accuracy off the tee, he'll be the first to pull back if he thinks that he knows I got to hit this fairway.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be the first to pull out a 3-wood. The problem is he's hitting his 3-wood 320, so he's not really losing much.
Yeah.
So
especially on a course
love
like
that
this
list.
where you have to hit the fairway. Well, I mean, you want to be in the fairway. I think that mindset that he has is great for this course.
Yeah, absolutely. And he doesn't let mistakes get in his head.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he just kind of, that wasn't what I wanted on that hole.
Because last year, I believe, I don't know if it was the Masters or if it was one of the other majors, but he was finding every single bunker. He was just having terrible luck where his shots were just missing and he was ending up in bunkers. And he still was able to fight through and get pars, sometimes get out with a bogey when other players probably would have ended with a double or a triple.
Mm-hmm.
I think his mindset when he's out there on the course is just unlike most other guys.
I completely agree. Tommy Fleetwood's a good flyer. He could mess around and do something well. Tony Finau's game, I don't think really fits Augusta. I don't think it ever will. He will win majors. I
Mm-hmm.
firmly believe Tony Finau can win majors. I just don't think it's Augusta. I really don't. And it sucks to say that, but it calls for a certain type of golfer. It really does. It takes the best in the world and really makes them average. It does a
Mm-hmm.
great job of thinning out the field and letting the cream of the crop rise. And yeah, there's been some times where we've had some people just have really good weeks. We talked about Angel Cabrera in 2009. He came in number 69 in the world. He ended up winning. Zach Johnson was number 56 when he won in 07. So, I mean, things do happen, but most of the time it's going to come from your best golfers in the world. And Tony Finau right now, even though he's sitting there number 13, in the official world golf rankings, I don't like how it laps up to him.
Yeah.
But after those 6, we'll get into and I've got 2 sets of 5 for y'all. I've got my top winners and I've got my long shots. So for me, my top winners are going to be someone that's 25-1 or better or less on the odds. So that to me is going to be Justin Thomas. We've talked about that. Jordan Spieth, he might just mess around and be getting on another hot streak. But the way he's playing golf right now, you cannot keep him out of your FanDuel lineup. You can't keep him out of your to win lineup. You can't keep him out of really anything if he's going to keep playing the way he has. I also have Xander Schauffele up there as one of my flyers, one of my my best bets there. Patrick Cantley. His short game has been phenomenal lately, and that's going to be key. If you miss at Augusta, you've got to have a good short game.
Yeah.
We've seen that time and time again, and he seems to be clicking at the right time. I like Patrick Cantlay, and you can't have a Masters without really giving the defending champion a chance. So I'll mess around and give Dustin Johnson a chance and see what he has. But then I really got a lot of good value in my longs, which were 25-1 or more. You've got Colin Morikawa. We've talked about him a little bit. He's coming in at 29-1. I love that there. Patrick Reed, someone who is only 3 years removed from his own green jacket, who feeds off adversity, who feeds off of being behind the 8 ball. He loves these types of situations. He loves, being in the spotlight, and he won earlier this year as well. So he's playing good golf. He's number 7 in the world right now, and you're getting 32-1 odds. I'm taking that. He's going to be
Yeah.
in my starting lineup as well. But if you're looking for some value on some people that I think might actually be able to pull it off, I also have Victor Hovland at 37-1, Webb Simpson at 39, and Louis Oosthuizen at 90-1. Louis Oosthuizen has a green jacket. No, does he? No, he doesn't
Um,
have a green jacket.
no, he won
He's got a
another.
U.S. Open.
Yeah.
He's got a couple U.S. Opens. But Louis Oosthuizen is someone who's played this course multiple times. He knows his way around it, and he might just mess around and pull one off. And at 90-1, why not?
So he is a guy. I love that you brought him up because on the DraftKings lineups that you can do, not the actual sports betting, but just the DFS lineups, I pretty much always throw him in because his odds are always so low, and he's usually going to stay somewhere within the top 15, top 20. He rarely misses cuts. So especially on a course like this, I think he's destined to be at least playing on Saturday and Sunday. So I love that pick, and I actually have him to finish inside the top 10. Him and Cantley out of your guys. I also have them, and Patrick Reed. I have all three of them. I have them finishing in the top 10.
Love it. And look, there could be some really good value there. And that's a great transition because one of the things about the Masters people don't understand because, well, not all of us have been able to gamble, but this is the Super Bowl of golf, ladies and gentlemen. Think of all the crazy prop bets you can bet on in the Super Bowl. I mean, you can bet on the national anthem and how long it goes, for crying out loud. You can bet on the coin toss. And we have similar situations with the Masters. So here's some fun ones. That I found that I like, and I like to take every single year. That's two of them. And then two that I found that I thought were pretty fun. So the first one is going to be place finish. You can bet on who you think, where they're going to finish, top 5, top 10, top 15. Obviously, the further you go and the better the bet gets, the less the odds are. So I actually take Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, both at plus 250, 25-1. Or that's not 25-1. I'm sorry. But plus 250 to finish in the top 5. I'm taking both of them. I think that you're going to see Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas sitting in the top 5 at the end of the day. My second favorite that I bet every single year, you can bet on hole-in-ones, but you at the Masters can bet specifically where you think it's going to come. And I always put money on a 1 on 16 because if it's coming somewhere, it's coming on 16 and it's coming on Sunday where everyone knows where to hit it. And you're going to get 50 plus ties of the best golfers in the world getting their shot at a shot they've been watching their whole life. And that comes in at plus 110. So you're in good money there.
Is that your number one hole in golf? Is that your favorite one?
Actually, that is not my favorite hole in golf. My favorite hole in golf, at the Masters, because my favorite hole in golf is not from the Masters, but my favorite hole at the Masters is number 13 Azalea, the par 5 down the sweeping fairway with the water. I love that one. And then Firethorn, 15, right before Redbud. That's 15 and 16 I almost back-to-back like more than I like Amen Corner. There's just been so much history made at Amen Corner. I think you have to give them the nod.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your favorite hole at Augusta?
So just because of that shot that you talked about on that par 3, we all know it. You hit it up top, let it roll back down. Like that to me, when you tell me what do you think of when you think of the Masters, that's the shot that comes to mind. So I think I would have to go with that one.
Okay, 16 Redbud, not a good one. I mean, it's hard. There's so many good holes at Augusta. To me, this is probably going to make some people mad. Camellia Number 10 is the most boring hole on that whole golf course.
Yeah.
It just is. And I'm sorry. Like, I get it. It's a huge, wide fairway down the hill to a postage stamp of a green on the top of the hill with the towering. Look, it's pretty. It's just when you look at all the other holes around the golf course, 10 to me is just the most boring hole out there.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm trying to think if there's one that stands out more on the front 9 that I would take worse than that, but I think you're right. No,
Yeah.
Number 10 stands out as just kind of it's just kind of not cookie cutter, but it's just kind of it's there.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. I think. Oh man, depending on the pin location, I think on the front nine, number 7. What is number 7's name? Pompous. P-A-M-P. Pampas. Pampas. I don't know. Whatever it is, Pampas is what I'm going to call it. We're going to settle on Pampas.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're not. We're not, JT. We're going to settle on Pompous. It's going to be Pompous. That hole, depending on the pin location, I love it on when it's on the bottom of the slope and they can throw it back and let it kind of trickle back down.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when it's in the middle and you have to kind of go to the right and you have to hit this sweeping putt to get down to it. But that's when you get to the green. To that point, I mean, and again, it's about pin location. All the other holes to me, you could put the pin anywhere. I don't care. It's just a great golf hole.
Yeah.
And that's what Augusta has over every other course out there. It's its own entity. So now let's get into some fun bets. And I picked 2 this week. 2 that stuck out to me. The first one is going to be top debutante, which for anyone that doesn't know, is a tradition where young women used to make their debut into society. And so this would be the golfers that are making their Masters debut. And I'm going to go with a rookie who has been having one heck of a year, and that's Will Zalatorre. He has been lighting it up. He is the odds-on favorite to win this, but because he's never played the Masters before, he's at plus 110. So he's still even money, basically, at that particular point. So I like him. And then my favorite bet this week, top lefty. Top lefty. So the lefty to have the best score. So that gives you Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson, Mike Weir. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 more. But regardless, I'm going with the 2-time champ. I'm going with the Jordans. Throw them up for me, JT.
All right. Give me 1 second to pull that up. I was a little behind on that. Wasn't prepared.
Look at those bad boys. My boy Bubba Watson with the Jordans. I'm going with Bubba Watson as the top lefty. He's at plus 185.
Yeah, that's going to clash a little bit with his driver.
It's fine. It's fine. Listen, if anyone can pull off Augusta National Jordans and a pink driver, it's Bubba. Okay.
Anybody out there, I think I might just clip this myself, but Bubba, when you're done with those, if you happen to be an 11.5, I can send you my address. Just get at me at JTZ4. We can talk after the tournament's over.
Please, let's have some merch, the merch toss.
Yeah,
and toss it right into the Twitter inbox of JT there. But yeah, so those are my fun bets. I like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas both at plus 250 to finish in the top 5. I like even money on a hole-in-one on 16. My top rookie is going to be Will Zalatorre at plus 110, and my top lefty definitely going Bubba. Sorry, Phil, but didn't Phil miss the cut last year? Like, Phil's just been awful lately. Ever since he started making Instagram videos.
Yeah, he's focusing on retirement life now. He doesn't have too much left in him, at least on the Pro Tour.
I don't know. Maybe he'll surprise me. Knowing me and my relationship with Phil, he'll have he might mess around and win because I took Bubba to be the top finishing lefty. And keep in mind, that bet, they don't have to win the tournament. They just have to be the best left-handed player this weekend.
Yeah, and there's not many out there.
Anybody that can hit 162-yard gap wedge with a 45-degree angle of hook out of the trees, you're getting my pick for best lefty.
The problem is that his shots. The real bad thing is that he ended up in that spot to have to hit that shot. Right. But yeah, it still is pretty impressive what he was able to do there. For me, my favorite bets, I like to kind of just bet live. I know that on a few different apps, you can bet hole by hole. So it's usually a couple holes ahead of where they're at now. So you kind of got to be on top of the game. But you can bet whether players are either going to get you can bet winners, like pairings, when they're paired up, who's going to win that hole. You can bet people's scores, whether they're going to get a birdie or better, par or bogey or worse. So I don't have any of those at the moment, but I will be watching that as the tournament goes along. I'll just be betting live and probably losing a lot of money, but it's still fun to sit there and bet each hole.
It's a fun way to watch the tournament, though,
Yeah.
right? It's always better when you have some money on it, and you don't have to. I know me personally, I like to have my pimento cheese sandwiches, my egg salad sandwiches. My wife is kind enough to make them for me. I like to have my tea, my sweet tea, and I just like to get embraced and engulf myself in the atmosphere that is the Masters. And with that, that's going to do it for our Masters preview. For JT, he's everywhere at JTZ4. I'm Brandon with Sports with BJ. Shout out to Sports Shift Media and the Juicebox Pod for having us on. We hope you enjoy the Masters. It's back in its rightful place of the first weekend in April. Enjoy, and we'll see y'all next time.